Greetings, travelers.
Hey, greetings, travelers. Oh my gosh, what's this?
Oh my gosh, we have a
Who's that guy?
It's the ghost of Halloween past.
Oh, that is so true, actually. So true. How are you feeling, Mark?
I'm fair to partly cloudy, as my father used to say, on the right side of the grass. He can't say that anymore, but I still can. So I do. But thank you all for putting up with my extended absence. I'm going to try to be back as much as I can. It's still, thank you for being with me as I'm going through this health journey. But I wanted to come on and say happy Halloween to everybody, because oh my gosh, it's for you that we do this. We love you, fans. We love you, travelers. Oh my gosh, it's the most special night of the year for us. Carrie's going to do the episode, but I had to come on at the beginning and wish everybody a happy Halloween, a blessed Samhain, however you want to celebrate your winter's eve. And I'm gonna bug out and listen in with the rest of you all on the various socials, and hopefully chime in when I can. But however you celebrate your Halloween or your Samhain, I want to recommend, for those of you who like your Celtic ways, maybe make a dumb supper. Are you familiar with that?
I was going to say, does that mean something that most of us wouldn't eat? And we'd go, why did you make that? That's so dumb.
Well, a dumb supper is where you make a special treat for your ancestors. You set a separate plate out when you make your dinner so that your ancestral spirits can come. Now, the Appalachians adapted that. Young ladies would make a dumb supper so that the face of their beloved would show, so that who they would marry someday might show.
I think if I went upstairs and told John that I was doing that and that was the purpose, I would be in a little bit more trouble than I'd like to discuss. Carrie, so after we get off of this, I want you to go make a dinner plate for whoever your true love is and just set it right next to Mark and be like, no, I'm going to see the face of my true love here. That's what's going to happen.
Well, we know who's going to show up for Carrie. It'll be all the possums and the raccoons and the squirrels that come out and eat all her food. So.
No, that's her Snow Whiteness. Those are her familiars.
That's true.
I'm just saying. Well, Mark,
we all know who would show up for me. Right. Would be a hot vampire man.
No, werewolf, steamy werewolf, right? Steamy werewolf,
Hysterian.
But hopefully you all have a wonderful Halloween. After this, I'm going to tune on some Ghost Watch, and then I'm going to fall asleep to H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. So happy Halloween all, and enjoy the show. Listen to these wonderful listener tales. Again, thank you, listeners, for sending these in. Travelers, we love you all, and I will see you on the other side.
Okay. Well, Mark, it was wonderful to see you in a weird, kind of creepy way. So I think what would be really cool is for us to just dive in, because listen, travelers, we have an absolute ton of these. So we're going to do this episode, but I can tell you we have a bunch more. So we'll be throwing in another Listener Tales episode soon, only so we can catch up on a bunch of them. So if you don't hear yours, that is probably because it's coming up soon. But Bo, because it's Halloween and because you have amazing horns going on, I think you should start.
Bear with me if I cough. I'm going to try not to, though, because I have pneumonia. Okay. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings.
Hello.
I want to share that thanks to you all, I've formed a small paranormal research group in my hometown here in Indiana.
Yay.
Yeah.
I met Mark a couple of years ago at a con in Indy. Yeeps. I think it's Yeps. A local business owner is allowing me and our team to come in and get the feels for her resident ghost. She likes this ghost and wants it to stay. I'm so excited and ramped up for this spooky season. Thank you for starting me on these travels. And this is from Melissa.
Oh, well, Melissa, yay. We are so glad we got to start you on those travels. And that was probably Indie PopCon. We'll be there again this year. Well, by this year, I mean 2025. So we'll
I was going to say, didn't that just happen, Erica?
It did, like 5 minutes ago. But I love that Mark was able to send you on your way to doing that. So I think that's amazing. Very, very cool. So you'll have to keep us informed about what you discover and stuff. We'd love to hear that. Created a paranormal expert. So thank you, Melissa. And with that, Carrie, why don't you do the next one, my friend?
Alrighty. Getting right to it. Has anyone seen any 6 to 8 foot all white figures in the woods, specifically in western Washington? I'm at a loss for what I saw. I have pictures and videos, but they were filmed from approximately a mile away and they are very blurry. But these figures, originally two, became three separate figures and were moving back and forth. I posted the video to a different group and was ridiculed, with people telling me they were just people. I have hundreds of days, thousands of hours logged in the backcountry, and I've seen hikers from afar. These were not hikers. I will post the videos in your Discord if that's okay. I heard Mark say no blobs or orbs, but I will post 2 photos, one when there were only 2, and then when the third one appeared. I've been SOL with finding any clues of what they could be. A few people have suggested Lunarians or skinwalkers, but I'm not sure what I believe in. My gut knows they were not humans. Something else bizarre, I suddenly had cell service enough to call my partner and send him photos. I've been in this area before and it's always been consistently 0 cell service. Things I have ruled out: tall rocks, white trees, signposts, mountain goats, or other hikers. This is from Kylan, I believe.
Oh, well, Kylan,
We have the pictures right
Oh, here's the
there.
pictures
we
here.
do have the
Please scroll
pictures,
down.
and
Ooh,
it's totally okay to post to our Discord. Always,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, please
And
do.
to answer your question, I mean, of course, it's tough to judge, but who knows? And if you suddenly had cell service, that's a little weird. So I don't know the answer. I mean, the West Coast, it doesn't look like squatchy squatches to me. I'm still, by the way, listeners, we're looking for the name to what a group of Sasquatches are. Throwing that out there again. I want you guys to send me those because we're going to have a poll to see what we should call a collection of Sasquatch. I know Carrie loves clan, but we'll see. But looking at the photos, I don't have the answer to what they could be. But to me, it's awfully odd that all of a sudden electronics would work. So thoughts?
Those look really tall and very starkly white against the trees. It's definitely
Yeah.
really weird.
Super weird. I don't know. I don't know, but
I agree with the comment that it could be one of the white things because it does kind of make me think about that.
maybe. I mean, it depends on what time of year, I guess. They might have been mostly furless, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. I don't know. It's odd. It's very odd. Well, throw it up there. Let's see what everyone else thinks. We can share that. There's a long one after this next one. So, Bo, I'm going to have you jump in again. How's that sound? So
Wait, Mark had a note on that last one.
I saw that it says that it was fine for the postings, that he thought it was tough to judge, and he'd love to have a team to recreate the height of it. I saw that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to tell us where it is, we can send a team and go see if they see something, right?
Yep.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, Bo,
Right.
next one.
All right, Appalachian sisters and you Eerie travelers. Please keep in mind before you continue reading that what I'm about to tell you is 100% real. I did a karmic ritual on an individual who has caused me a decade of pain. So much pain that I was crying as I was manifesting my desires. It's actually working, like really working. I can't help but to feel a little bad because I still and always will love them, but I'm a believer in karma. And that's exactly what he's getting. Out of all the spells and rituals I've done, I've never had one work so fast. He called me to vent, beg for money, and expressed how his business is failing, how he's more stressed than ever. He can't sleep, isn't eating very well, and is desperate. LOL, well, that's what you get, motherfucker. Never fuck with a witch. Signed, Anonymous.
First of all, Appalachian sister, I adore that. I will, however, throw out, because if I didn't throw this out, it would be, is make sure you only take it so far, because I'm not saying this person doesn't deserve some bad things. Situation, so I can't judge that. However, you want to be very careful how far you take something and that you ask for it. It sounds like you had a very clear intention, and hopefully you really stated that. And it is a balancing situation versus being careful, because wishing ill will on others, even if they deserve it, quote unquote, deserve it. You can't see me quoting unless you're watching. Is it's just you got to be careful on the balance of it, because
And I was always taught that whatever you do to someone else could come back at you. So you
threefold.
don't want to, yeah. So you don't want to do anything too horrible, because then you're going to end up doing something horrible to yourself on accident. So it's good to do more positive magic than
And it
negative.
sounds like you're a pretty powerful, badass witch. So use your powers for good. That's how I'm going to say it. Use your powers for good. Okay. Well, thank you, Anonymous. That was pretty cool. I'm going to jump into the next one because it says, hey, Erica and Mark. Hello.
Yay.
Mark is saying hi from a distance. I can already tell. Thanks for reading my previous story. There's another. Yeah, I love reading previous stories. Send away. Here, this is another strange thing that happened to me in the 70s in the area of Pennsylvania, where I encountered a Bigfoot when I was 12. Ooh. I love trout fishing. I did it every free minute I had in the spring and summer in Pennsylvania. It was on one of these particular outings that something strange happened. I was behind the old Jimmy in the woods where what we called Ben's Creek ran. Okay. There was a great spot that had bushes in the water partially. This area was always good for a limit of bows, browns, and brookies. I'm going to assume those are fish. Are those fish? Does anybody know? Because
sounds like fish
I
names,
assume so.
okay.
like fish nicknames.
Jim and Jimmy's in the woods.
Yeah. So we're going with pretending like we know what they're saying. It's fine. Okay. Browns, Jimmy's, bows, brookies. Okay. I felt strange, like something was watching me, but not creepy. It didn't make any hackles rise. I was about 16 at the time and was well versed in the woods. On this day, I was doing well. I had 5 on the stringer and just caught the 6th. The stringer was upstream about 40 yards, 40 yards, because I had walked down fishing the whole bank. When I got back to the stringer, there was 4 trout. The bottom fish was gone. I thought, what the heck? Now, this is an old metal stringer that you have to have opposable thumbs to open, and it was open, so I put the current fish on the stringer and went home. I thought at first maybe an otter got it. Problem with that theory is the otter would have ate it up to the head and left me the fish head. Every time I went back, I would always lose 1 fish. Each time I would get the feeling I was being watched. Again, it was not fear-inspiring feeling. After the second time, I figured it was a Bigfoot. Well, I went away to the Army at 18. I was stationed in Fort Lewis and came home on leave for some fishing. I went down to that spot and did something different. I crossed the creek and started to find a hole upstream. It was thick in there. I came across what I found years later was a Bigfoot shelter. I left the area not realizing what it was. I told my father what I found and wanted to go back for a closer inspection, and my parents asked me not to. 20 years later, I saw a picture of a Bigfoot nest in Ohio, and it was eerily similar, so I called my dad. I asked him if he remembered the nest I found, and he said yes. Then I said, you knew what it was? And he said, yes. I said, that's why you didn't want me to go back? He told me he'd seen them before and knew one was in the area, and he thought it was a female because it had seen it in the area several times over many years, but it never bothered him, so he didn't bother it. Just got goosebumps. Okay. Okay. I'll never know what really was going on, but I will say I didn't feel threatened in any way. The opposite, actually. I think it was female who just thought it was fun to watch me fish and play tricks on me. Jim. Well, Jim, thank you for that amazing story. And I don't think it was tricks. I think you were doing all the work. And she was like, he won't miss one. I'm good. I think that absolutely ridiculously sounds like that, whether male or female, it was just like, oh, you're doing all the hard work. Cool. I'll take one, leave the rest. Thank you very much. So
even trade, I'm not chasing you out of here. This is my fish.
Yes, I love it.
really like this story. This is just a fun, hey, coexistence. It's all good.
Oh, we're about to be called out. So,
Oh.
Carrie, I'm going to let you do this one because we're about to be called out, apparently.
Oh,
my. Wait, I wasn't on this episode.
Do you
That's
want-
why you have to do the calling out.
Yeah, you have
All
to
right.
do calling out.
All right. I'm going to give it to you. All right. Just listen to the zombie movie episode. Please don't do another of these until Mark is back. You totally misspoke on several films. I could tell you haven't watched them as much as you said. Your whole
Okay.
Shaun of the Dead opening is actually where they redo the shot on day 2 after the outbreak. Plus, you missed the whole warm bodies was Romeo and Juliet. Love your show and just had to vent because I'm certain Mark would have corrected them. Probably.
Wait, pause. So I just listened to the Warm Bodies audiobook. It is not Romeo and Juliet. That is
No,
not
it's
the
not.
intention of that movie at all. So sorry, as someone who religiously watches that movie, no. And Shaun of the Dead, that's fine. I'm just saying that's my favorite part.
Shaun of the Dead is there's two. Literally just watched it. There's two scenes. They're the first time you see him do it, and nothing is. There's only little things wrong. And the second time, everything's all fucked up. So you were not wrong, Erica. But there are two scenes. So this person is correct in that, but I don't like their tone.
I don't like their tone either.
Continue.
Continue on. Right now, their tone is making us mad.
You're not going to like it any better.
Oh gosh.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I think Bo may have only seen the TV edited Romero, excuse me. Some of these 70s kills are better than anything else. So the older movies are better, I guess.
I saw them on DVD.
Okay, keep going. Let's see how mad they can make us.
I do agree that Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is a gem. Yay.
Yeah, it
There were
is.
some other solid referrals. Also, yay. I'm glad you mentioned the World War Z book is better than the movie because, yeah, sometimes books are better than the movie. Hoping Mark has a quick recovery. Try not to hate on you all, but just needed to let you all know where you should wait for Mark to get back before another one of these. Maybe revisit one when he gets back. One I would suggest is Drag Me to Hell. It's more Sam Raimi with a witch curse with some zombie bits. Great for Halloween. Yeah, Sam Raimi. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Ron,
not all.
we're calling you out, Ron. That's who said this.
Oh yeah,
Ron.
Ron.
Ron. Why? That's not
Okay.
very nice.
I know Mark had a comment on this one. So what did he say, Carrie?
I'm happy with the episodes that have aired while I deal with my health concerns. While we appreciate feedback, negative feedback is not necessary, especially on an opinion episode.
Yeah. We're allowed to like the movies we like.
No, and here's the thing. Everybody's going to get something different out of movies. And the truth is, like, we just did a ghost one too with J. Michael Roddy and stuff like that. Like, everybody sees different things in movies that have different parts that mean things to them. But I will fight you, Ron, on Warm Bodies. I will fight you. Because if you listen to the book, which, by the way, I actually think, again, is much better than the movie now that I've listened to it, because Bo brought that up, so I went and listened to it. I will say it's much better, but it seems like Romeo and Juliet, but it's actually not. That's not the point of everything that occurs in that story. And so that's what I'm going to say.
Also, I stand by my thing that I don't like the George Romero movies very much. Sorry.
You're allowed to do that. And if I recall, we read all of Mark's ones he did.
Yes, we did.
Did
So
not
he was
deny
there.
the Markness in the zombie movies. So sorry you didn't like
And
it,
Mark
Ron,
did
but
not yell at us later about our opinions. So
yes,
it was fine.
It's okay. Opinion episodes always divide us, but it's okay because we love horror movies. I like zombie movies, but it's not my forte, and I knew I would misspeak on something, so I just stayed out of that.
Totally. Okay, Bo, next one. But Ron, thank you for writing in. We love you as a traveler, and we'll just fight you in person for a little bit. But then we'll
I don't
have
know.
coffee
I'm
or
fired
something.
up now. I'm fired up, Ron. Okay. All right. Letting it go.
Good choice.
Okay. I moved to Pulaski, Tennessee in Giles County and to see my family there. Here it is. My little sister worked at Redwood's grocery store and I picked her up to take home. She lives about 10 miles out of Pulaski on Anthony Hill. It's about 12 a.m. February. The temp is 28 degrees. We were cresting the hill. My sis screamed, "What the fuck is that?" I look and see a black blur. So I whip around thinking I'll see a black bear. Hell no. I drive to the spot, and as I was getting closer, it was 2 legs in my brights. I slammed the brakes and stopped about a foot from this huge man-like thing. I look at it a very long time. No fur, just long hair, and clearly found it had, well, it has muscles. Okay.
Yeah.
Movement looked like a really, really huge man. I mean, massive. It started swaying back and forth. I looked up to see its face and only saw 2 huge red glowing eyes. That snapped me out of this situation. I felt a primal fear I've never experienced. I backed up and got gone. My sister was screaming and said her hair was
Sore to comb.
said her hair was sore to comb.
Yeah.
It
it's
scared her
scary.
that bad. Oh, maybe like her hair was staying on end. That's 100% truth. And this is from Joey.
Oh,
And
Joey.
I don't like that it was swaying.
I
Yuck.
feel like this is so, Carrie, I want you to weigh in because you're dressed appropriately for this. But that sounds like the description that you got of the Mothman, right? From the original Witness.
Yeah. Although, let's see, it did have the
But
big
he
red
wasn't like
eye.
naked, right? Like he wasn't like man flesh, was he?
It's weird. He said no fur, just long hair.
I'm assuming he means like head hair. You know,
Mhm.
Mothman wasn't like that. He had fur like a Bigfoot, right? The original.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of at the borderline between a couple of creatures.
Or it's just a really scary man who lives in the woods.
With glowing red
just-
eyes.
Maybe he had weird sunglasses on.
Okay, that's oh, you're in a timeout. What I imagine when he says really long hair is it didn't look like fur, that looked like he had hair on his body. Right.
That
kind
makes
of thing.
sense.
So
Like it was stringy.
yeah, like that.
Oh, the
Boar
Eerie
Man
Travels
lives in the
account, who
woods.
may or may
Yeah,
not be Mark Muncy.
that's a weird one, but yeah, be careful out there.
The
my
Boar
friend.
Man. I've never heard of the Boar Man,
Yeah,
but he does sound like he would have hair because boar have like.
I could see that going up
thin-
to Tennessee. I don't know. I don't know the range of boarmen.
Joey, you've stumped us. But if you want to you did tell us exactly where it is. We're going to pass that on to a team. We should pass that on to
Yeah.
a team. Mark
or
look at your
BFRO
class.
and let them handle.
Let's do that. Okay, moving on. Here we go. I've always been fascinated by Bigfoot for as long as I can remember. I'm getting all the Bigfoot stories today. Here we go. Probably since elementary school. To be honest, I've always believed. My experience happened when I was living in the Upper Peninsula, Copper Harbor to be exact. This is probably 2018. Me and a good friend of mine were hunting for deer, having no luck. We were out there for hours, didn't get one. The funny thing is, from the time we started hunting, my buddy kept saying, "Dude, I keep getting the feeling something's watching us." And I was like, "Bro, it could be anything." I love this. I can imagine this conversation. Deer, moose, elk, hopefully not a bear. He's like, "No, seriously. I will swear I'm feeling something staring at us." And the whole time, every now and then, he just kept turning around and looking around. And I didn't think nothing of it. So it was beginning the process of sunset. So we're headed back to the truck. At this point, we were maybe about half a mile to a mile in the forest from the vehicle. We were both just walking, small talk, and all of a sudden he stops right in his tracks. And his exact words were, "Will, what the hell is that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I'm looking at him and he's pointing. And so I turned to where he's pointing, and it was probably maybe 100 to 200 feet in front of us. I couldn't make it out. I could see it, and all I could see was it was huge because it was starting to get slightly dusk. Still some light, but there was some darkness starting. And this thing was massive. He's like a bear. And I'm like, "Dude, black bears don't get that damn big." and the things. I want to be on these guys' shoulder. I'm not even done with this story, but I want to be on their shoulders while they're having these conversations. Dude, black bears don't get that big. I would be running. I would be running the other way, dude. Black bears don't get that big. Man. Okay, where is it? Okay, it's a bear. Dude, black bears don't get that big. And this thing's standing up, and I'm like, I know bears can stand up. And I'm like, this thing is too massive to be a bear. I'm 6'3" and my buddy's 6'5". And just looking, you could tell this thing towered over us. It had to be every bit of 7 to 8 feet. The funny thing is, we both had weapons, and not one time did we think of using them, to be quite honest. I was scared. I'm glad to hear that, actually. It made no noise. It was just standing there. And the only reason we knew it was alive is we could see the slight movement of the body. At this point, survival instincts kick in. We both ran. Yay, the Erica thing to do. Okay, probably after a good 8 or 10 minutes, we made it back to the truck. We get in the vehicle and we're both just looking at each other after being quiet for a few minutes. And my buddy looks at me and goes, well, we didn't imagine that, right? And I'm like, hell no, we didn't. I need to be with these guys. This is too much fun. And we're both just sitting there going, well, what the hell did we just see? Now, I'm not going to say it was definitely a Bigfoot because I don't know. But I do know what I saw was no bear. It was no elk and it was no moose. It was just something I can't explain. All I know is the thing was huge and massive, and we never told anybody because, of course, people would probably made fun of us and said stupid things like, oh, you guys were drinking, blah, blah, blah. I've been a believer, but that just enforced my beliefs even more. I know what we both saw, William. Well, William, thank you for your story. One, I feel like I need to hang out with you and your friend because that was pretty awesome. And it sounds like you did see Bigfoot or something because that's what it's described as. And since you did not tell me it smelled like death, I'm going to exit out of the dog man theory. So those are my thoughts.
I'm really glad they did not shoot because I feel like shooting
That's
is
not
thing
nice to shoot
always
at
makes
them.
it worse. Like that's
Yeah.
usually not good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also, honestly, there's no, one of the comments was you don't have to shoot unless you're in danger. And I really agree with that because this is not something you're gonna eat, right? Like this is not something you're like nom 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 nom. So if you're not gonna go out to hunt to eat it or kill a bunch of anacondas because they're overpowering the Everglades, I think you did the right thing. So that's what I'm gonna say about that. So thank you, William, for your story. We love it. We love it, love it.
Yeah, I see someone
Okay.
else said they seem to instill a sense of fear. I can understand that. Like in
I
this
mean,
day
it's
and
like seeing something outside of your own reality that you didn't think was real, and it's right in front of you. Your mind cannot handle that. So of course you feel scared and overwhelmed and just stare at it like, is it it must be a bear, right? I don't think it can be what I think it is.
Yeah.
honestly, in this day and age, there's not that much out in the woods you can encounter that's going to be a major threat to you other than like other humans, you know? So, yeah.
Or I guess a grizzly bear, but those are only in
Yeah.
certain spots.
They
I mean,
are. Those are very big too, but that is definitely a bear. You don't look at that and go,
Yeah.
I wonder what that is. A grizzly bear, you go, oh, that's a giant grizzly bear.
Like
I
even
hope
when
I
they
don't get
stand
bit.
up, it still was very bear shaped. I think you would be able to tell.
I agree.
Destiny Beard, the lyrical soprano who will haunt your dreams. With her alluring melodies and intricate harmonies, this dark siren of wistful song shall capture your soul and lead you into the night. Check out Destiny's new single, The Haunting Is Over, with international musicians Sam Haines and Gary Bennett, as well as her other musical works at destinybeard.com.
Okay, the next one's a little smaller, Bo. So let's throw you at that so you don't have a coughing fit.
Okay. I've been told about a family of Bigfoot that live 15 minutes from me. I have been to the place quite a few times, and there is never any sounds when I get there. I was told if I brought fruit and left it on a tree stump and left, they would show themselves when they knew I was not going to cause any danger. So far, I have heard them coming closer to the fruit, but haven't seen anything. I do know that about an hour later, when I make my circle and come back, the fruit is gone. It's a little scary, and I don't stay too close yet. One day, I hope they show themselves to me. And this is from Tim.
Well, hello, Tim. One thing you might want to do is see how close you are to the fruit, because they're not going to come probably within close distance, is my guess. Like they're going to need their space. But it'll be neat to see if they bring you stuff too, because it's kind of cool. There was a whole thing I saw on Reddit the other day having nothing to do with Bigfoot, but I thought Carrie might appreciate this, where a guy had ravens, and the ravens were coming in. He was giving them bread, but one of the ravens dropped off a $20 bill. So he went out and he bought them fancy, really seeded, wonderful bread. And
Ooh.
now the ravens bring him paper money all the time. And he's like, I hope these ravens aren't robbing people to do this. And I'm like,
It's funnier if they are, though. Like,
It
they are
kinda
really
is.
serious about their bread.
Somewhere out there is like someone's like, why is my charity bucket so empty?
and the ravens are like, seeded bread. But I think if you know, Tim, I'm sure you will see them. It is definitely a trust thing, because I don't think it's going to be an easy. And if you really look at animals and stuff and building up trust, even if you look at some of the really sad shelter dog videos, you see it takes a long time sometimes for trust to be developed, because you've never seen what's happened with them before. So yeah, Raven Mafia, I love it. I just feel like that's something Carrie could do, is create a Raven Mafia. So I'm going to
working
need
on
that
it.
work on.
Our crows are pretty skittish here. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I think it's just a lot of time and patience. And I saw someone suggested doing a camera. I really want to do a trail cam for our animals, but I also know they tend to be able to sense it. So I would think something like a Bigfoot would know to avoid it.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely would, because that would expose them too. So I would just, Tim, try standing back as far as you possibly could to see what it is. The other thing is, if you wanted to make sure it's really, really Bigfoot, do the peanut butter trick where you slightly loosen the jar, but not all the way, because you have to have opposable thumbs to open a peanut
Yeah.
butter jar. So
Yes, that's like the peanut butter one. Then you know for sure something is having to work to get into it.
yeah.
Yeah, and you take the paper off too, right? You don't leave the paper on
Correct.
the
Correct.
jar. Okay.
Yeah, paper off and stuff, because sometimes I saw one where one of them ripped it apart after it opened it. They thought it was a juvenile in like a fit. I don't think it's a juvenile. I hate to say it. Peanut butter is sometimes hard to get out of the jar when you're down to the last little nubbies of it.
That's
So,
true. If you have the power to open the thing, you would open it like that.
I would.
You
Yeah,
never get the last little bit.
exactly. I think it's a brilliant theory. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, Carrie, how about you take this next one? It's a little bit long, but that way Bo doesn't cough us to death.
Yes, it is all good. I am sending this anonymously because I work in the medical field in a small town, and if naysayers were to read this, it could cause a loss in confidence in me and negatively affect my income. Totally understand. Thank you for writing in nonetheless.
Yes.
All right. I live in a small town less than 20 miles from the Honey Island Swamp in Louisiana. Ooh,
Ooh.
love Honey Island Swamp. I live on a farm that has been passed down through my family for several generations. I've had 2 interactions in my life with what I believe was a Sasquatch. The first time I was 19 years old, and a friend and I were headlighting rabbits in a hayfield. It was January and cold. He was driving, and I was using the light when I saw 2 yellow eyes about 8 feet off the ground by a tree. At first, I was thinking it was a coon, but then I could tell that whatever it was ducked behind the tree. One eye stopped reflecting, then the other. Not like when the animal blinks and both stop reflecting simultaneously. I told my buddy to stop driving so I could see better, and the eyes reappeared. Then it suddenly turned its head and disappeared. I could tell it turned its head by the way I lost reflection in the eyes. My buddy saw that, and before I could say anything, he floored it and we went home. All right. The next day, we went back to the spot. It had rained all night, but the area was covered with leaves and sticks, so no tracks. The lowest limb on that tree was about 20 feet off the ground, so whatever it was, wasn't in the tree. The second encounter was about 10 years later. We had just built a new barn with an attached lean-to that I was using as a shop. It had a cement floor and was built for a roll-up door. The door hadn't been installed yet and no electricity yet. It was August and hot. I was overhauling a tractor engine and had moved the engine stand to the far back corner of the building so I would be in the shade as the brutal sun was pouring in from the large opening where the roll-up door would be going. About 50 yards from this, the front of the shop was an open area where we stacked rolls of hay outside. 4-foot by 5-foot rolls in rows of 15. I'd say about 10 rows. The shop opening faces west and it was about 4 p.m. I was using a wooden hammer handle to tap the pistons into the cylinders of the engine at the time, and I guess the knock was what attracted it. I have a feeling that someone was walking up or watching me, so I looked up and just caught a glimpse of something brownish red being pulled behind the farthest row of hay rolls. I watched for a second, thinking it was one of our dogs, but generally ignored it and went back to work. I started tapping another piston into another cylinder when I saw something poke out from behind the hay bales. I caught it that time. I only got about a 2-second view before it pulled its head back, but it was unmistakable. It was a head. Dark face like a gorilla, but flatter features like a human. Short, dark brown, red hair. It must have known I saw it because it jerked its head back. My brain was processing what I saw, and I was confused as to what I saw, but then this creature stood up, towering at least 3 feet over the 5-foot tall hay rolls. It put one hand on a hay roll and jumped up on the stack. It crossed diagonally 10 rows of 15 bales in about 4 large leaps. The hay was stacked about 20 yards from the woods. After it jumped off the stack, it ran into the woods, and it sounded like a bulldozer just tearing a path, then silence. No birds, squirrels, nothing making noise. The barn is about 30 yards from my front door, but I stood there in the shop frozen and shaking, hair on my neck bristling. I don't know how long I stood there, but I eventually began to think that I had to get in the house. I have never been so scared in my life and flat ran to the house. I was nervous for a long time after that about being outside, and it took a year or more before I went back into the woods. I eventually reasoned that it was more curious than anything because it could have easily come into that shop and tore me apart. I have told very few people the story and it's always laughed off. The only chemicals I was using that day was the clean motor oil and assembly lube. I know what I saw was real. Anonymous.
Wow, anonymous, because yeah. And again, it's not there throwing things at you or stomping or banging stuff around. It was just like, hey, what are you? Oh, you were looking at me. I don't know. I think that, there's curiosity, there's sounds, there's all kinds of things. It sounds like you saw some kind of Bigfoot, and it then was like, you know what, I'm going to go. But I think it's really interesting because we talked about this sometimes before, but I think there is a little bit of like lizard brainness that happens where, it goes, that's something bigger than you that can hurt you. So that's the, hair standing up on the back of your neck, the being frozen, the not, that's fear, and not necessarily because it's aggressive, but it is bigger. And it's I think the smart parts of us that not every human seems to have that go, maybe it's a good idea you leave that thing alone. So, anonymous, I love this story. I hope that it's something out there guarding the woods for you. I think that's
Well,
awesome.
Mark says that there is a Honey Island swamp monster that's similar to the skunk ape, so maybe that's what it is.
Oh, that's entirely possible.
Yeah, I
Very
definitely think there's something in that area. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the level of detail in this description because some people are kind of vague, but this is very, very specific. I like that.
Me too. The next one's a little bit short, so Bo, do you want to take it? Because the one after that's long.
My Mothman story. Camping with a buddy, sitting by the fire, moonlight only, but clear. We both got up to go to the bathroom at the same time and turned around. Both saw it at the same time in a tree, 30 to 40 feet away, maybe 20 feet up. Saw the outline, muscular, I guess, and red eyes, making a guttural popping noise. Stared at it for a minute, then it moved. We were both ex-military, drew our sidearms, and emptied a magazine each. Reloaded, looked up. We hit nothing. No red eyes, gone. We packed up and got out of there. That's it. And this is from Michael.
Well, Michael, I am not surprised you hit nothing. And kind of glad you didn't, because it didn't sound like it was being mean to you. It just seemed like
It
was
just sounded like it was making some noises. Maybe it was saying, hey.
But, well, maybe it was saying, you are awfully
Or,
close to my
hey,
house.
this is my tree and you're very close to it.
Yeah.
Please skedaddle.
Yeah, go. But that is very cool that you saw the Mothman. There's so many more sightings happening now of Mothman. And I know we're going to do a separate episode because we got a bunch of videos sent to us from Unsolved Mysteries, I think, about sightings.
This
Whatever.
comment. It
Yeah.
was there to warn you about critical infrastructure failure.
Shout out to Adulting Axolotl. If you guys have not picked up those needle points, you should, because they're totally amazing and fun. Okay.
Imagine what the guttural popping noise sounds like.
Don't birds do that when they're pissed off too? Like, don't they make weird like popping noises with their beaks?
I'm not
sure. Am I making that up?
Absolutely not to say it was a bear, but I know they do that jaw clack that's really unsettling, and this could be doing something similar, which means you're making me very nervous.
Oh, like it was a black bear up in that tree or something.
I'm not saying that was a bear, but I know bears do something similar. Maybe I was trying to
like a predator thing, like that more animals do that we don't realize.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. None of us have been around Mothman for any appreciable amount of time to understand how they communicate or what noises they make. You know, so I'm not, it could have been, and you know, different noises sound different depending on where you see them. Like every now and then,
and like the echoes and like the environment, because sounds bounce off stuff.
Even, you know, every now and then, you know, there's Garrus, everybody. Everybody can say hi to Garrus.
Garrus
makes some weird noises that I'm like, did that just come out of the dog? Like, it's definitely, and trust me, I go out at night into our mountain, and I'm sure, Carrie, you guys do that too. And there are all kinds of weird noises, and you're like, what the heck is that? You know, I constantly think we're being attacked by cryptids, but it's not that. Things are just noisy here. So, okay, I'm going to take on this next one because it's a couple of stories, but it's a little long. So here we go. But thank you, Michael. Definitely thank you for sharing, and I'm glad you and your buddy are okay, but I think you did the right thing leaving that area. So, okay, the first story was told to me by my grandmother when I was a young adolescent. One day while I was visiting her, I asked her if she had any old folk tales from when she was a girl, and she told me the following story told to her by her mother. The story is an explanation of the screeching wildcats make, and they do screech. See, we were just talking about weird noises that things make. There you go.
Yes.
Okay? They are a horrible and typically sound like either a woman screaming or a baby crying and will freeze the blood in your veins. Long ago, when whites first began settling the area, there lived a man and his wife in the frontier wilderness. The man's wife was heavily pregnant, and one day she went into labor. And the man and his wife hopped into their horse to go to the nearest midwife. There were no doctors in the area, who was some ways away. The woman was settled into the midwife's cabin, and what followed was a long and strenuous labor that took the life of the poor woman, but not before she had given birth to her child. Oh, that's sorry to hear that. The midwife had no room besides the one, and the now deceased woman laid in it. So she told the man to take the child and ride home and get some rest and grief in silence. When the man left the cabin, it was past midnight, and the way was dark. And the man had no lantern with him, so he rode into the darkness with only moonlight. As the man rode along, he heard the sounds of rustling branches and stalking things, and he turned to see yellow eyes in the darkness. Panicked, the man began to ride quicker, only to hear the beast pick up pace. Soon the galloping hooves drew another panther who began to give chase as well. The man began to ride even quicker to escape them, and the galloping of the horse and the poor condition of the road woke his newborn, who began to cry out. Soon the noise brought a whole host of wildcats who chased full speed down the road after the man, snarling and hissing all the while. What followed next is of some debate. The man dropped his newborn child onto the road. Oh, some say by accident, struggling to hold both the child and steering the lead, and a panicked, escaped newborn fell out of his grasp. Others say the man was a coward and dropped the newborn to distract the panthers, but regardless, the man dropped the newborn into the road. As the man turned his head, he saw the panthers descend on the infant and eat it alive. The baby was crying all the while. Oh, I don't like this story. Ugh. The man rode on, weeping the whole way. After some time, he reached his home, and either struck by guilt for what he'd done or grief for his wife and child, began to drink heavily and fell into a drunken sleep. Some time later, he was awoken by a long wailing cry like one of an infant, and soon heard another, then another. Soon all around his home was nothing but screams, cries, and shrill shrieks of babies. The choir from hell that continued all night and didn't stop till sunrise. After the midwife hadn't heard from the man for a day, she and some of the neighbors came to the man's cabin, checked on him, found him in a pool of his own blood. He had clawed his ears off by hand and subsequently bled to death. Wah! I do not like this story at all. No one is quite sure why the event caused the panthers to begin to cry. Some say they learned to mimic hearing the baby screams. Others say the newborn, being unbaptized and unable to enter heaven, possessed the panthers. And some say God himself gave the ability to the panthers so they may punish the man for infanticide. But regardless, some nights the serenity of the mountains is broken by a long and terrible wail like that of the newborn. Wow, that's the first story.
It's a really heavy one.
Yeah.
I liked it. I know it's like a fable folklore tale, but I like the idea of the baby possessing all of the cats to go yell at his dad for leaving him on the ground.
I love
This
that.
is like a origin of why the panthers make that sound then.
Yeah.
Okay, second story is not so much folklore. My grandfather would warn me and my cousins when we were little not to stay out after dark, as then we could be eaten by hellhounds. I mean, that's a legitimate claim, right? He told us that hellhounds are Satan's hunting dogs who hunted down the souls of the unrepentant and for those who tried to break contact with the devil. They were massive black dogs, close to the size of a black bear with red eyes and black teeth. They were said to not make a noise until they were right upon their victims. Then they'd let out a baneful howl and grab their victims' ankles with their teeth and drag them to hell. Once or twice, my grandfather or uncle would mimic a wolf's howl out of sight and try to scare me and my cousins to come running back into the house, which we often did. Another time, me and my cousins dropped everything we were doing and ran to our grandparents' house because my cousin swore he saw red eyes in the bushes and swore up and down it was a hellhound getting ready to eat us. You know, this is kind of why folk tales and stuff, some of them came into being, was you should not do this thing because it's unsafe. So we're going to tell you this horrible thing that could happen to you if you do this thing. So I love that. I think that's cool. Okay, one last story. Third story is a little less of folk and more something my grandparents made up to keep us out of abandoned mines on the hill, which often are poorly ventilated, flooded, or collapsed. They told us the mines were haunted by the vengeful spirits of miners who died in the terrible accidents, and if we ever entered them, we'd never return. Forced or forever wander the tunnels until we died and our souls joined the miners, waiting for tunnels for new victims. These are the ones I remember. I'm sure if asked some of my kin, they might also recall a few more. I should also mention these stories all originate from Logan County in West Virginia. Peyton, I love these stories. I think they're awesome. And it sounds like your grandparents and great-grandparents had very smart ways to look at different situations, and they're entertaining. I like it. And also, do not go into abandoned mines. Mark, getting me into the mushroom mine, that's still a horrific experience.
To be fair, that mine isn't totally abandoned. There's ghosts in there, Erica.
I am well aware of that now, Bo. Well aware of that. Now it's your turn. Read a story, and then Carrie can go.
Okay. I have another story about a Sasquatch that came up behind my Jeep when I was working security up Chahals Lane 14 point. What is it?
Wallace Lake?
Chehalis Lake?
Chehalis
Chehalis
Lake.
Chehalis Lake, 14.5 kilometers. I was on graveyard shift. I was working for Johnny Five crew, and they were hired by forest firefighters to help with security. Late at night, pitch black, I fell asleep, and next thing I can hear footsteps behind my Jeep. My uncle was in the truck beside me. I was trying to look around, but it was way too dark. The next day, my uncle wakes up and asks me if I heard that Sasquatch walking around near us. I told him I can hear it right behind my Jeep. That was a steep hill where I was parked. Now I go up this road today, and the loggers have been clearing everything. It's a perfect place to go camp out and hopefully get lucky and see one. This is from Dale.
Oh, Dale. This is what happens when you sleep on the job. You miss Bigfoot. It's the rule. You can't sleep on the job or you miss all the sassy squatchies. I love that. I love it. Okay. Thank you, Dale, for your story. And we do hope you get to see one time. So I guess next time, though, you got to stay awake. That's the rule.
At least you have a target area to go for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Carrie, what's coming up next?
I live out in the woods up north. Sadly, now people are starting to move in. Yep, people do that. One night I was out on a walk testing out my new headlamp. It was a freezing January night. Snow and ice is all that we had on the road. Snow was coming down slowly, not too heavy. I found a set of very large canine tracks. Being curious and armed at the time, I had to follow them. They seemed to be somewhat fresh. I followed them until I saw the print that made me turn around. The last print, snow covering the rest, was half human and half canine. I took a pic on my phone and I'm looking to find it in a backed up file. Since then, we have had guests at the house that have heard dogs fighting outside and crash into the house in the summer. Wow. One guest said he saw a large set of canine eyes close to the horizon, again in the summer. The silhouette, he said, was about 7 feet tall. He's a city boy and even admitted he had never seen something that large. Could have been a bear at that point. We do have them nearby. Not sure. Haven't had activity since. This was about 4 years ago. This is from Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, I want to see that picture, dude. You got to send it to us. I want to see it.
Yeah, I desperately want to see that picture. That sounds cool.
And Bo wants to know where it is so she can go find her werewolves in the woods.
I need a second husband. Let's go.
Yes. Well, I'm just saying you could put that plate out tonight and see what that's going to look like for you after Carrie does it, because I'm dying to see what comes to her table. But I would say that sounds like Dogman. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. And maybe the group of them moved on. Do we know what a name of a group of dogmen are?
A
Is there a name
pack.
for that? Is it
It
a
has
pack,
to be a pack.
pack of dogmen?
And I will note that these dogmen did not attack anyone. As a dogman apologist, I would like to make a note of that. See, they were being kind, Erica.
Okay.
I think a pack of dogmen should be called a snarl.
Ooh, I like that.
I do like that. I do. Okay, we have 4 more and they're all kind of shorter, so we're going to do them. Bo, you go for this next one and I'll go with the one after.
35 years ago, my husband and 6 of his cousins were all hunting deer and elk up in the mountains of Greenwater, Washington. And they saw a dark furred creature running upright on 2 legs like a person fast across a grassy clearing below. They went to grab a pair of binoculars, but it was already in the tree line and out of sight. They realized that they had just witnessed a Bigfoot. I'll try to get more details. Right now, this is the best I can report. And this is from Liz.
Well, Liz, thank you for the report. We love that. And that is fun to me because I feel like a lot of, we have so many people we talk to that are Bigfoot hunters, right? And do hunting and stuff like that. And like we just had a live episode with Lyle Blackburn, stuff like that. But I always think it's fun for the people who are caught unaware and just look over and see a giant furry thing running through the field upright. Because that kind of reminds me of the sort of OG original Sasquatch. I know there's a lot of is it real, is it not real thing on that. But you just kind of look over and you see just a sassy squatch walking through the field, just jogging out for its morning run.
And then he goes, "Oh shit, you can see me?" And then he goes like speeds up. They're just like us.
I love that. Okay.
That's great. It's always good, even especially the older reports, to get them out there, because I know so many people are reluctant to say anything. So yay.
It's true. Thank you, Liz. We love it, and we'd love more details. So send them in. Okay. Evening, all. Well, good evening. And how did you know that's when we were going to be recording?
Good morrow, sir.
Yes. Been listening to you folks a while after a few encounters in southern Canberra, ACT, Australia, Oceania, Earth. Well, hello down under. Been a skeptic believer for life, but have recently turned into the full extent of believerism. I love that word. Bigfoots in Australia, Oceania, Earth, are common, particularly in southern regions. I think they like it cold. Me and my mate Matthew and Jack, 72-year-old male, fair hair, retired plumber, 65-year-old male, bald, car hobbyist. I love these descriptions.
I love the detail. I can see it now.
Okay, I want a picture of you guys. You got to send us a picture. I won't share it, but I do want to. These groups of people, you guys should send pictures to with your stories because I love this. Okay, so this group has begun expeditions through Canberra and surrounding regions. We like to bring sandwiches, usually peanut butter. Though Jack doesn't like peanut butter as much as me and Matthew, he still enjoys it a little bit. We sit out around and just eat our sandwiches and search for Biggie, as we call him down under. We hope to see him on this side. Regards, Biggie searchers, Charlie. I love that. Charlie, it seems to me like you may want to bring your biggies out there, a peanut butter sandwich as well. Might help with the search. Just throwing it out there. Maybe, your lovely friend there who doesn't like them, if Jack doesn't like peanut butter as much, maybe he should bring a Vegemite sandwich. Just throwing that out there. I've had Vegemite. I actually worked with people in Australia who brought me Vegemite to try, which was actually really, really good. I enjoyed it. But
what's it taste like? I've always wondered.
Hopes and dreams, Bo. Hopes and dreams. I'm gonna get you Vegemite. We're gonna try it. But I think that maybe bring a peanut butter sandwich. But Charlie, you got to keep us updated if you and your buddies end up running into Biggie down there. That's amazing. Okay, 2 left to go. Who wants to take this next one?
I'll take it because it's shorter than the other one.
All right, go Bo.
This one starts with okay. Okay, so I just had a sighting of the big guy and I'm still shaking. I don't even think he knows I was there. I'm in a deer stand. We heard this ungodly howling sound stand up all over my body. I started looking through my night vision goggles and I spotted the big guy about 15 yards behind me. He was just looking around. I don't think he had a clue I was here. This is in Sangamon County, Illinois, on the river. Reporting, tried to get picture, but he vanished behind a group of trees as soon as I got my phone out. And this is from Andy.
Well, Andy, thank you for reporting. We will make sure to put it up on the BRVO, but I love the fact that he didn't know you were there and you just heard the sound and you're like, what was that? I have to say, I'm going to jinx myself saying this. This has been a very Bigfoot-filled episode, and I think that's so much fun. But I was hoping for some stories that would creep me the heck out, because normally, travelers, you got your share of stories. Then Erica has not been able to nope out of a single situation here.
Because Bigfoot's so kind and cuddly, like it's hard to be scared of him.
Exactly, but
he's just living his best life.
Travelers, I need to be able to nope out of these situations. So I need.
It's wild because Erica doesn't like to be scared. So if she wants you to scare her, you should really try.
Okay,
she wants it.
I'm just
okay.
I'm gonna remind her she wants it when it happens.
Friendly encounters are okay. We like that.
That's true. I'm just saying normally we get the, I should get the heebie-jeebies, and I don't quite have the heebie-jeebies, and it's Halloween, All Hallows Eve. So I'm just saying, travelers, I love the cryptid stories. Don't not send them to us, but of
She
course,
wants some Samhain scaries, is what she wants.
I want some scary scaries. But with that, Carrie, why don't you take away our last one for us?
All right. This is not a Bigfoot one. I don't know if this podcast covers aliens. Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
yes, we do.
We
All
do.
the things.
Much to
Nope.
X's dismay. We do.
Yeah.
Yes. But I would like to share my experience from a night ago. It was about 2:40 a.m. and I had just gotten up to get water, and I looked at my door windows and saw a 3-foot being in the corner panel, gray in color, big black eyes, weird shaped head. I was kind of shocked, but as I got in my room and closed my door, I heard a bang at my window that are still boarded up from Milton. I went back out again, and the alien was still there. And I was actually scared at that point, so I tried to go to sleep, but as I thought it was an optical illusion. But again, I wanted to prove myself wrong by going out again. It was gone when I left my room that time, so I walked back and forth trying to see if it was a reflection. I did see a reflection, but not the same shape or size, and I don't know if Palm Bay, Florida has a history with aliens. But I tell you, I did not sleep with the lights off that night. From Leo.
Oh, Leo. Ooh, okay, first of all, I did drinks myself. Now I have the heebie-jeebies and I got goosebumps. Not because of ghosts or spirits, but that sounds like a gray. That sounds exactly like a gray. And I think aliens can be anywhere. I don't think there's there are hot spots. We do hear about hot spots, but it sounds like you had
But
a
I mean,
visitor.
Florida has a lot of space program stuff, so it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, Palm Bay has Eerie, Florida, telling us that Palm Bay has many sightings. I could see that. I could see that. And the fact is, we just had 2 back-to-back storms, and that's it's a thing. It's a thing.
I mean, we talked about a lot of things being displaced. Even the aliens might be displaced.
That's very true. I also just saw, so when any of the listeners comment, there was an orb that just went behind me. So yay for the veil being thin. For anybody who rewinds the video and catches that, that was nice. I saw it. Yeah, feel it. That's cool. That's what I love about the veil being super thin, by the way, is they all just come out to say,
why do they all visit you though, Erica? I want them to visit me.
oh,
Dude,
I will
nobody
send
stops
them
by
all your
my
way,
house.
my friend. I will send them all your way.
Tell them to come stop by.
Bo would like you to go stop by. Yeah. So why
Yes,
don't you go do
please.
that?
Getting
Thanks.
haunted objects in the mail soon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take them all. I'll take the haunted dolls. Let's go.
Oh God, you guys are terrible. Okay. And open or closer.
It's the last night almost in Lonesome October.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I would say I'm a closer, Mark. If I had to pick one of those two, I'm a closer. So yeah, be careful what you wish for. Okay, well, with that said, travelers, I want to, of course, thank the lovely costume ladies. And so if you're listening to this, feel free to jump in and look at the video on our YouTube, because you'll see all of us. I have my little druidic horns, and then Carrie's dressed like a Mothman. And then we have the tiefling horns on Bo because she's evil. And I want to say thank you.
The tiefling are misunderstood, Erica.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay. We're going to let that go for another episode. But with that, we want to say happy Halloween, and, all the other veil is thin, All Hallows Eve to all of our travelers out there. I know Mark would say, don't forget that there will be more trick-or-treaters than kids in your town this Halloween. And of course, make sure if you're out in the woods and you see those eyes, that you might want to consider that you probably ought to leave. And with that, we will see you on the other side.